The purpose of this video is to talk about some simple parts of a C++ program. All of our programs start off with a comment. As you can see, // comment. Anything after the two forward slashes, the comment, anything after the slashes will be ignored by the compiler. Why do we have comments? To leave notes in our source code for future programmers about why and how we did certain things. The next thing is a #include IOStream. This is called a preprocessor directive. IOStream happens to be a file that lives inside Microsoft Visual Studio. The purpose of IOStream actually is to give definition to something we use later in the program, in this case cout. Cout is not native to C++, but when I include IOStream, then I can actually use cout in my code. Now what happens here is when I go to compile the program, the computer doesn't really compile it right away. It scans each line for a pound, and when it sees a #include, it will include the contents of a file, in this case IOStream, within my source code. So it'll take my 8 or 9, 10 lines of source code here and make them 1,000 lines of source code. Now I have a using namespace std semicolon. Basically a namespace, in this case the namespace has a name, it's called standard. And I have different program entities, things like variables. And when I give a name to a variable, the names have to be stored someplace, and they're stored in a namespace. In this case, they're being stored in the standard namespace. For right now, you just need to know that you need that statement using namespace standard with a semicolon in your code. Then the program begins with the main function. This defines the main body, and it has an opening brace and a closing brace. And the main body will have a return 0 semicolon to end it. This 0 is returned to the operating system. When the 0 is returned to the operating system, we know the program ended successfully. The reason we have in here, int defines what we're returning. We're returning a 0 integer. Now, the only line of code that does anything in this program is the cout, and cout means console output or send to the monitor. We're going to send the string of characters "programming is fun" to the monitor. The output for this code on the monitor will be "programming is fun." So we have a comment, a #include, preprocessor directive. We're identifying the standard namespace. We have a main body, and by the way, C++ is case sensitive, so a capital M here would not work. We have an opening and closing brace that defines the main body. We have a return 0, and we have a cout, something that sends a message to the monitor.